Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something very gentle, something that looks like love, but sometimes becomes control. Raising independent children. Every parent wants their child to be strong, confident, capable, happy. We want them to succeed. We want them to avoid pain. We want them to have an easier life than we did. So we help. We tie their shoes. We fix their homework. We solve their problems. We step in quickly because it feels like love, and it is love. But sometimes love that removes every difficulty also removes growth. Imagine a small child trying to tie their shoes. Their fingers are slow. The knot is messy. They struggle. You are watching. You know you can do it faster. You feel the urge to bend down and say, "Let me do it." It would take 10 seconds. It would be easier, cleaner, quicker. But what happens in that moment? If you wait, the child tries again, fails, tries again, breathes, focuses, and finally, they do it. The smile on their face is different. It is not the smile of being helped. It is the smile of achievement. I did it. Those 3 words are the beginning of independence. Independence is not built in big moments. It is built in small struggles, small delays, small mistakes, small attempts. Many parents confuse independence with distance, but independence does not mean leaving your child alone. It means standing close without taking over. It means being present without controlling. It means guiding without deciding everything for them. There is something uncomfortable about watching your child struggle. It touches your heart. You do not want them to feel frustration. You do not want them to feel failure. But struggle is not the enemy. Struggle is a teacher. When a child solves a problem alone, something invisible grows. Confidence, courage, self-trust. If a child never struggles, they never discover what they can handle. And later in life, when real challenges come, they may not know how to stand on their own. Overprotection feels safe, but long-term strength is built through experience. A bird cannot learn to fly if it is never allowed to leave the nest. The parent bird watches, not to push too early, not to abandon, but to allow space to try, space to wobble, space to rise. Independent children are not children without support. They are children who were trusted. Trusted to try. Trusted to decide small things. Trusted to fail safely. Sometimes independence begins with something simple. Which shirt do you want to wear? Do you want to clean your room now or after dinner? Small choices. Small responsibility. But those small choices build something powerful. Decision-making, ownership, confidence. If every decision is made for them, they may grow comfortable, but not strong. Strong children are not those who never fall. They are those who learned how to stand back up. When a child makes a mistake, the easy reaction is correction. No, that's wrong. Be careful. Do it this way. But what if we ask instead, what do you think? How could you try differently? Questions create thinking. Answers create dependence. There is a difference between helping and replacing. Helping supports growth. Replacing stops growth. The goal of parenting is not control. It is preparation. Preparation for a world where you will not always be there. One day, your child will face difficulty without you in the room. In that moment, what will guide them? Your voice solving it for them, or their own experience? Trying, failing, and trying again? Independence is built slowly. Not loudly, not dramatically, but daily, in small moments that look ordinary. And maybe today, independence begins not by doing more for your child, but by stepping back just a little and trusting that they are capable. This is only the beginning of the story. There was a mother who always packed her son's school bag. Every night, she checked the homework. She organized the pencils. She made sure nothing was missing. It felt responsible. It felt caring. One morning she was sick. She could not get up. Her son stood by the door, confused. "Mom, where is my math book?" She realized something quietly. He did not know, because he never had to know. Love had become replacement, and replacement had become dependence. That day, something changed, not in a dramatic way, but in a small decision. She began saying, "Can you check your bag?" At first, he forgot things. He made mistakes. He felt frustrated, but slowly, he learned. And one day, he said, "I packed everything." The pride in his voice was different. It was not pride in being helped. It was pride in being capable. There was also a father who always answered for his daughter at the doctor's office, at school meetings, even at restaurants. The waiter would ask, "What would you like?" And the father would respond immediately, "She'll have the pasta." It was faster. It avoided awkward silence. It felt efficient. But one day, the daughter looked down and whispered, "I wanted to say." That sentence stayed with him. "I wanted to say." From that day, he waited. The silence felt long, uncomfortable. But eventually, she began speaking, softly at first, then more clearly. Confidence grows in space, not in interruption. There was a boy who struggled with math. Every evening, his mother sat next to him. She corrected every answer. She erased his mistakes. She explained every step. The homework was perfect, but the next test was not. Because during the test, she was not there. So she tried something new. Instead of correcting, she asked, "How would you solve it?" He hesitated. He guessed. He failed. He tried again. It took longer. There were tears. There was frustration. But there was also thinking. Weeks later, he solved a problem alone. No help. No correction. Just effort. The grade improved slowly. But something more important improved faster. Self-belief. Sometimes independence is not about school. It is about emotions. A child falls, scrapes a knee, looks at the parent to see how to react. If the parent panics, the child panics. If the parent stays calm, the child breathes. Independence begins with emotional modeling. "I know that hurt. You're okay." Take a breath. Not dismissing, not overreacting, just steady presence. Children borrow our calm until they build their own. There was a teenage girl who wanted to quit piano. She was frustrated. She felt behind. Her mother wanted to insist, "Don't give up. Practice more." But instead, she asked, "Why do you want to quit?" The girl said, "I feel like I'm not good enough." That moment was not about piano. It was about resilience. So instead of forcing practice, they talked about effort, about improvement, about progress that is not visible. Months later, the girl continued, not because she was forced, but because she decided. Decision builds independence. Control builds resistance. There is something important that many parents do not realize. When we solve every problem, we send a quiet message. You can't handle this, even if we do not mean it. But when we step back and say, try, we send a different message. I believe in you. Belief builds strength. Overprotection builds fear. Trust builds courage. One teacher once said, the strongest students are not the smartest ones. They are the ones who are not afraid to try. Trying is a skill. Failing is a skill. Standing up again is a skill. And skills are learned through experience, not through rescue. There was a moment at a playground, a small child climbing a slightly tall structure. The parent stood below, arms ready. The child looked down, unsure. The parent said, I'm here. Not, come down. Not, be careful. Just, I'm here. The child climbed slowly, carefully, reached the top, and smiled. Independence does not mean removing safety. It means offering safety without removing effort. The hardest part for parents is not teaching skills. It is managing their own fear. What if they fail? What if they get hurt? What if they are disappointed? But failure in childhood is training for adulthood. Disappointment teaches adjustment. Small pain teaches resilience. If children never feel manageable discomfort, they may struggle with unavoidable discomfort later. Independence is not built in comfort. It is built in supported challenge. One day, your child will walk into the world without you holding their hand. In that moment, they will carry something invisible, not your constant protection, but your quiet trust. Trust that says, you can try, you can decide, you can recover. That trust is the foundation of independence. And independence is one of the greatest gifts a parent can give. Independence does not begin with big lessons. It begins with small permissions. Permission to try. Permission to choose. Permission to fail safely. There was a little girl who took a very long time to put on her jacket. Her mother stood by the door, looking at the clock. They were late. Again, the mother's hands almost reached forward. It would take 5 seconds to help. Instead, she stepped back. The zipper went up halfway, then down, then stuck. The girl's face became serious, focused, determined. Finally, it closed. The smile that followed was quiet but powerful. That 5-minute delay built more confidence than 5 years of assistance. Sometimes independence costs time, but it builds strength, and strength lasts longer than speed. Giving small choices is one of the simplest ways to grow independence. Not big life decisions, small daily ones. Do you want the red cup or the blue cup? Homework first or snack first? Shower now or in 10 minutes? When children make small decisions, they practice thinking. They practice ownership. They practice responsibility. If every choice is made for them, they may become obedient. But obedience is not the same as independence. Independent children know how to decide, even when it is uncomfortable. There was a boy who always asked, "Is this right?" after every sentence he wrote, after every math problem, after every drawing. His father noticed something. The boy was not looking for help. He was looking for approval. So one day, instead of answering, his father said, "What do you think?" The boy paused, looked at his work, and answered slowly, "I think it's okay." That moment mattered, because confidence grows when children trust their own judgment. If they always wait for approval, they may fear making decisions alone. Independence also grows when children experience consequences, not harsh punishment, natural consequences. A child forgets their homework. Instead of driving back to school to deliver it, the parent says gently, "I believe you can handle it." The child feels embarrassed, uncomfortable, but they learn. Responsibility is not taught through lectures. It is learned through experience. If parents remove every consequence, they also remove learning, and learning builds maturity. There was a teenage boy who failed an important test. He expected anger. He expected disappointment. Instead, his mother said, "What do you think happened?" He talked. He reflected. He admitted he didn't prepare enough. She didn't rescue him. She didn't blame him. She listened. Then she asked, "What's your plan?" That question shifted everything. Instead of feeling attacked, he felt responsible. Responsibility builds independence. Shame builds avoidance. Another quiet skill that builds independence is emotional regulation. When a child cries in frustration, it is tempting to fix the problem quickly, to stop the tears, to remove the difficulty. But sometimes the most powerful response is, "I see you're frustrated. I know this is hard. Take a breath." You are not solving it for them. You are teaching them how to sit with discomfort. Children who learn how to manage small frustration become adults who can manage bigger pressure. Emotional independence is just as important as practical independence. There was a moment when a child wanted to quit a sports team. It was hard. Practices were tiring. Other kids were better. The parent could have forced commitment or allowed quitting immediately. Instead, they said, "Let's finish this season. Then you can decide." The child stayed, struggled, improved slightly, but more importantly, learned endurance. Sometimes independence is not doing whatever you want. It is learning to stay even when it's difficult. Staying builds resilience. Resilience builds strength. Parents often say, "I just want my child to be happy." But happiness without strength is fragile. Real confidence comes from effort. Real independence comes from experience. Experience includes mistakes. It includes slow progress. It includes discomfort. If a child never carries their own bag, they never learn the weight of responsibility. If a child never speaks for themselves, they never learn the sound of their own voice. If a child never fails, they never learn recovery. And recovery is one of the most important life skills. The hardest part of building independence is not teaching the child. It is calming the parent. It is resisting the urge to step in. It is tolerating the awkward silence. It is watching them struggle without solving it immediately. It requires trust. Trust that they are capable. Trust that small failure will not break them. Trust that supported struggle makes them stronger. When parents step back slightly, children step forward slightly. That small distance creates growth, and growth creates confidence. Confidence creates independence. Independence creates strength. One day, your child will stand in front of a challenge, and you will not be there. In that moment, what matters most? That they were protected from every mistake, or that they learned how to try again? Independent children are not fearless. They are prepared. Prepared because someone once believed in them enough to let them try. And trying is the beginning of strength. One day, much sooner than you expect, your child will no longer need you. In the same way, they will stand in front of a decision. Without looking back for permission, they will walk into a room without holding your hand. They will face disappointment without calling you immediately. And in that moment, something quiet will become visible. All the small times you stepped back, all the small moments you chose patience over control, all the silent seconds when you said, "I believe you can try," they will carry that belief inside them. Independence does not appear suddenly. At 18, it is built at 5, at 7, at 10, in ordinary days, in small frustrations, in tiny responsibilities. Imagine your child 20 years from now. They are sitting at a table, facing a difficult decision. Maybe it is about work. Maybe it is about relationships. Maybe it is about failure. They feel nervous. They feel unsure. But instead of freezing, instead of waiting for rescue, they breathe. They think. They decide. Not perfectly, but bravely. Where did that bravery begin? Not in a big speech, not in a dramatic lesson. It began when you let them tie their own shoes, when you let them speak for themselves, when you let them experience small failure, when you stayed calm instead of taking control. Parents are not meant to remove every obstacle. They are meant to prepare the child to face obstacles. Preparation is quieter than protection. Protection feels immediate. Preparation feels slower, but preparation lasts longer. There is something beautiful about watching a child struggle and slowly succeed. There is something even more beautiful about watching an adult child stand strong in the world, not because they were protected from everything, but because they learned how to handle something. You will not always be there to solve their problems, but you can be there now to build their confidence. Confidence grows when children feel trusted, trusted to think, trusted to try, trusted to decide, even when they make mistakes, especially when they make mistakes. Mistakes are not proof of weakness. They are proof of learning, and learning builds strength. There will be moments when stepping back feels wrong, when waiting feels uncomfortable, when silence feels long, but growth often lives inside that discomfort. If you always step in, your child may learn that the world is too hard without you. If you sometimes step back, your child may learn that they are stronger than they thought. Independence is not distance. It is confidence. It is resilience. It is self-trust. And self-trust is one of the greatest gifts a parent can give. One day, your child may not remember every rule you set. They may not remember every instruction you gave, but they will remember how capable they felt. They will remember whether they were trusted. They will remember whether they were allowed to try. And when they face the world alone, that memory will matter. So maybe today, independence does not begin with teaching something new. Maybe it begins with stepping back just a little, with allowing time, with allowing effort, with allowing struggle, with saying quietly, I'm here, not to take over, not to control, but to support. Children do not need perfect parents. They need steady ones, calm ones, trusting ones, and independence grows in that steady trust. Thank you for taking a moment today to reflect on how we guide the children in our lives. Sometimes love means doing more, and sometimes love means doing a little less. See you in the next story.